Hello and welcome once again to the Tuesday Night Music Show. We're all kind of upset that Jay's not here 2 weeks in a row, but we're going to have a show without him. We're going to just suck it up and get through with Howie.
Hello.
And Matt and Eric.
Hello.
And Marky Mark's personal DJ over here.
I get them good vibrations.
Yeah, you're DJing Mark Wahlberg's party this week, right?
Yes, I am. Tomorrow night. New tequila.
Wow, and he's here with us tonight.
Wow.
He gets free hamburgers for doing it, too.
Right. Hamburgers and tequila.
Get some Wahlburgers, burgers. Yeah. Yeah. Hey.
Why not?
Match made in heaven.
So we're going to do our weekly Boston John's record roundup. And I know what John's going to share with us this week because he told me last night what he was going to share with us. Unless he changed his mind.
It totally changed my mind.
Okay. Then never mind. He's sharing something different.
Oh, I had to grab something literally fast, and I was like, "Oh, this is a great one. I don't think we've ever talked about these guys." So I pulled forth ZZ Top's Eliminator,
Wow.
which kind of was the change in direction of ZZ Top. 1983, Warner Brothers, with multiple hits for a jam band, kind of a blues-based band. Got all over pop radio with "Give Me All You Lovin'," "Sharp Dressed Man," "Legs" is on here.
Yeah,
"Got Me Under Pressure" is a great song on here.
Yeah,
it was a change in their sound and their style. Their production got a little more sleek because they've been making records since the 70s. Some other tracks you might know from them would be like Tush. I look at some Touch, Pearl Necklace, Jesus Just Left Chicago. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff dates further back, but it sounded more like a bluesy jam band. And this stuff was really, really clean, really modern sounding. And this hit right when MTV was popping. So you couldn't go 20 minutes without seeing a ZZ Top video with them doing the fancy swings. So
83.
83. Dusty, Frank Hill. Billy Gibbons. Sadly, Dusty has passed away, and there's only 2 surviving original members. But great stuff. It's good, rock crossover. It's dancey, which is the funny thing about it. They would never set out to be a dance party band, but if you drop something like Legs or Sharp Dressed Man, people are going to get up and boogie. It's probably in the same category as old time rock and roll or Moni Moni. Now it's just accepted as pop culture, tried and true. So that's my pick of the week.
Give me all your loving. Give me all your loving. Always did good too.
Legs was for years. For me, Legs was the bouquet toss song. Get all the girls out there, and
that's a good use of that. Yeah, absolutely.
I like that. Yeah,
that was for years. I like the Afterburner album too, which was the follow-up album. And I think that's the album. Well, I know that's the album they heavily used the samplers on, the Fairlight series 2, the CMI. I like stages off of that one, but it changed, and it was interesting because I know a lot of bands did it. Alan Parsons Project did it. 80s stuff that was very different from the 70s stuff. Yes, did it. There were a few that just came out with these surprises. The ZZ Top was weird. It's like, what is okay?
Like Dire Straits, like right when Money for Nothing hit, it's like this is nothing like Dire Straits used to be. What happened?
But they were only like a 4-year-old band. I mean, on our radar, right?
Mexicali, I think, was 73.
Really?
They go way back. They go further back than I thought. Only because I had cleaned up the hard drive and sorted out the records I had, and I'm like,
wow,
they go way back. Yeah, Waiting on a Bus and Jesus Will Love Chicago, I think, was one of their first. And I want to say it was probably like 70, 71.
Wow, that goes back a lot further.
Yeah, there's some old dudes now.
They came on my radar with Salt and Some Swing. I mean, to me, that's when they were born. And that was 78, 79, something like that. Maybe
77.
77.
Maybe.
Whatever.
I'm thinking, whatever. It don't matter.
That seems early. But no. That was the 70s rock band giving it a go in the 80s thing. And very, very, very popular album. Bought that one the same day I bought Please Synchronicity And yes, 90125. It was all the same year as 1983.
Nice.
It was a hell of a year for music. That was just winner.
That was a hell of a year for music. I remember the Friday night videos used to have their
countdown.
it was almost like their dueling video thing. Who's going to request the most video? Or, vote. You call in and vote for your favorite video. There's like 3 of them every week. And ZZ Top just kept winning and winning and winning with, I think it was Legs or something like that.
And it was 78 Sultans was winning.
Was it 78?
Yeah, it was. I just
Something like that.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but
who would like to go next?
I think Matt should go next.
Oh, Eric opens his mouth just to suggest me. Okay, very nice, Eric. Okay, so I'm going to go country, and I'm going to do something even lamer than showing something on my phone that's in the music app. I'm going to show something on my phone that is in Amazon, the storefront. This is Garth Brooks' The Ultimate Hits, and this came out in 2016. Garth Brooks, of course, has several greatest hits albums. The thing I like about this one is it gets most of the big stuff into 2 albums here. So a lot of good wedding choices here. If you're wanting some good country, won't name them all, obviously, but Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up, Friends in Low Places. As far as the wedding goes, a more slower song, The Dance.
It's an important one.
Yeah, just a lot of obviously a lot of solid hits, a lot of ultimate hits, if you would. And Rodeo, So Many Unanswered Prayers would be another good slow one.
Yeah.
So
I'm assuming
if you're at a wedding, among a country crowd, what was that, Eric?
Shameless must have been on that too, right? No.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, Shameless, I think, is on here. Yes.
Was that a
3, as a matter of fact?
Was that a 2-album set or just a 1?
That was a 2-album set, and I mean, there's big box sets of Garth Brooks, and there's other greatest hits albums, but I think that one really did a good job of capturing the things that you would want played at a lot of parties and stuff.
Yeah, good choice. Yeah.
Garth Brooks turned up in my newsfeed today.
Isn't that weird? Yeah,
and it was the heading on this news story was, "This is not a joke. This is real." Garth Brooks' new album will not be available for download. You're A, only going to be able to buy it in hard copy, and B, only at the Bass Pro Shop.
What? This has got to be a joke.
No,
Apparently not.
If it was April 1st,
Did you read that too, Matt?
Wondering about that.
Yeah,
I didn't read it, but just knowing Garth Brooks' history with streaming, I know he had some exclusivity with Amazon for a while. He might still, but that does not surprise me at all that he would ink something exclusively with a store.
Yeah.
yeah.
Fishing store.
Of all things, Bass Pro
Bait
Shop.
and tackle shop. Yeah.
Yeah, the closest one to me is an hour and a half away. If I can't get it delivered.
You don't have any friends in low places that can go pick that up for you?
Wouldn't you think he would benefit more by allowing the download? And
He
I don't know.
He was very against that. He was against. I remember when I worked at the UCD store, he was even mad about that. He was the guy that was coming out and saying, "You should not be able to resell my CD." And it's like, well, hold on a minute. This is property at this point. You can do whatever you want. But he was against resale of CDs. He thought, well, if you want my music, you should be able to buy it used. You should have to buy a new copy. So yeah, he's real funny about that.
Let's face it, he don't need the money anyway. But
No.
he
He
don't.
wouldn't have to work another day in his life. He's already made his money 10 times.
Yeah.
So I'll go to the Bass Pro Shop and get.
There you go.
Yeah. And if there ain't one near you, then you don't get it.
Nah, then you probably don't want it.
Right.
Get you a tackle box with a built-in CD player.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who would like to go next?
I'm dying to hear Howie's pick. He always has a goodie.
Eric with the handoffs tonight.
No, I'm just saying.
It's like,
Well,
I picked something that I needed to get for better quality audio, and it's Blondie's greatest hits.
See what I mean?
I get, it's got everything you could think of, Heart of Glass, Tide is High, One Way
Rapture.
Rapture. And the odd thing is that this was put out in 2002. So it has songs from the 80s all the way up, because her latest one was Maria, which I really haven't heard yet, but yeah, I thought, I always go to the Salvation Army store when I'm out traveling. If I'm going by there, I stop in, especially on a Tuesday, because it's half off, and it's $2 or $3 for a CD. So I got this one for like $1.50, and I just ripped it to have better copies. So,
you ever see any Garth Brooks in the bin?
You never know. You never know. I mean, he all kinds of weird things.
So he comes over tapping you on the shoulder. He's like,
Yeah.
Go to Bass Pro Shop, buddy.
Yeah, Bass Pro.
Yeah, you got to go to the Bass Pro Shop for that one. Yeah.
No, good pick. Blondie's definitely a good one. She had a lot of material. She was a hit machine for a while. Everything from
Yeah. She has several greatest hits. One of them has like 20 songs on it, but this was the one with, I believe it was 12 songs on the CD, and it was like, so $1.50, it's mine. Yeah.
I've been
Goodbye.
playing. Huh?
Yeah, it was a good buy. $1.50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, you have no one else to hand it off to. You're up.
I guess next, this band, also a greatest hits album, released in 1978. They had many, many top 40 hits, but never hit number one ever with any of them. 1978, the greatest hits album, Steely Dan.
In 78, they had a
Never
greatest?
had a number one hit.
That can't be right.
78, it was released, and it sold
Wait.
over 2 million units.
You're not talking about a decade of Steely Dan, are you?
No, this is Greatest Hits. It's a compilation album by Steely Dan, released in 1978. Sold
What
over
the
2
hell?
million
I got to look this album up because I'm not familiar.
Okay, but it did have everything had, they only reached the top 5 with Do It Again, Reeling in the Years, Ricky, Don't Lose That Number, and
That was a big hit.
That
right.
was.
They only hit up to 5 with these. Never went to number 1 with anything in their career.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll be dang. Yeah, 1978. And what's weird about this
Yeah.
is they had a lot of music after 78.
yeah. So what's it missing? Like
Well, they
FM
did.
or
Yeah, well,
That's
I,
later.
I'm looking
I
here.
don't,
Mm.
I don't
does
see
not-
FM on that, no.
No, well,
Do It Again, Reeling in the Years, My Old School, Ricky, Don't Lose That Number. I'm skipping over some stuff. Black Friday.
Black Cow.
Peg and Josie were on there.
that was before. Well, yeah,
Well, the big like
That
Hey
was
19.
for-
Hey 19.
that was for Asia. Asia came out apparently in 77. I thought Asia came out a little later than that. But that was before like Gaucho. Anyway, like Time Out of Mind on it and stuff. The one that I know really well is A Decade of Steely Dan, which probably came out, in 81 or something like that.
Now, did that have Hey 19 on it? I'm just curious, that one.
Let me look
When
it
did
up.
that come out?
I know it did because I owned it.
Of
but-
them now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Hey 19, I really dug that song. Just something about it,
All this
was
stuff
that,
is super
80?
smooth.
79 or 80 that came out.
I thought it was probably 80, though. Yeah,
Yeah, A Decade of Steely Dan came out in 85.
Oh, yeah, so Hey 19.
It kicks off. It's got FM on it, Black Friday, Babylon Sisters, which came out in 80, by the way. Deacon Blues, 77. Let's see. Countdown to Ecstasy. Hey 19 from Gaucho's on there.
Yeah.
Of course, Do It Again, Peg, Ricky Don't Lose That Number, Reeling in the Years. Yeah. So that was kind of the weird part about them doing greatest hits that early.
Well, it's there. It's 78. Like
I know, it's just bizarre. It wasn't on my radar.
No.
So cool.
That was my pick. But I just found it weird that they never had a number one song. Right? I mean, they did great stuff. Don't you think that?
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree, but the musical climate was different at the time from 75 to 80, and that's a hard shell to crack and get even into the top 10 with so much coming and going. I do know it's kind of mellow.
I do know their biggest hit was Ricky Don't Lose That Number, and I don't know what its highest chart position was.
I thought you were going to say Do It Again, because a lot of people refer to Steely Dan with Do It Again.
That's one of my favorites, but they had their biggest success with Ricky Don't Lose That Number. Yeah. And I'm just looking here. It was not number one, but it did well. The Billboard Hot 100, it was number 4.
Yeah.
And Cashbox, US Cashbox Top 100, number 3. So it did well, Didn't hit number 1, but it still did well.
Interesting. So that's my pick.
Yeah. Good band. Great musicians. Great band.
And
so I didn't pull the album this week because I've already done it. But it was worth mentioning, and I thought it would be interesting to talk about this during the show. I've done the album The Knack, Get the Knack. I've shown that one before.
Yeah.
Now, I just thought it was a good album, so I shared it. And I'll throw My Sharona in there for a warm-up set or whatever, just, But on Saturday, for the first time, I felt the vibe in the room, in the crowd that was there, and the set I was in. I played My Sharona as a dance song, and it did very well. I'd never done that before. So I got a dance floor to My Sharona. And of course you would have got a dance floor to My Sharona in 1979, 1980, but I wasn't DJing back then, so I got nothing on that. I was just curious if there's anything that you guys have pulled out of mothballs or just thrown out there and tried and had success with that you'd never tried before, relatively recently.
I'll go first. Don't Bring Me Down, ELO. Pack the floor. I pulled it out and it worked. And I'm like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It was like a spur of the moment, like 30 seconds left. Oh, it was like an accident and it worked.
Right.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that goes a ways back. I got one that goes back further because I just did the Halloween party and I broke out Harry Belafonte, the Banana Boat song.
I played that too,
and the place went bananas.
Yeah. So, well, I had Beetlejuice
exactly.
At
costume. I had one too. I had a Beetlejuice too, also.
Yeah, and the stupid song actually did well.
How did they dance to that, John? Though,
they did the dance like they do around the table in the movie. Yeah. Remember, they're all doing the. Yeah.
Oh, that's right too. Yeah, they were going around. Yeah. I just hate it because it's such a slow start.
Yeah,
that song, it's hot. Like if you're in a rush, obviously you're going to start it from the beginning. You don't got to, you can't get it to where you want it. But
yeah, you're not coming in off the tail into some energy. But it starts like a slow conga line, and then everyone's just kind of, making the circle and going around. It was surprising. I just pulled that out of thin air, but I missed Shake Senor. I should have played that one too, but they were playing that upstairs.
That would have been the better pick, probably.
For energy.
Dancing. Yeah. And now that you mention it, duh. That song was recorded in 1956. No, it was recorded in 55, released in 66. So that song is like the birth of rock and roll right there.
Elbows deep in mothballs. Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, they're not even giving chart positions at this point.
It's got to be close to Jump in Line too, right? Like right around that era, like
Shake Senora or whatever. Yeah. Probably the same album. Yeah. I don't know.
I've always had good luck with Jump in Line too. I mean, again, it was from that movie,
Yeah,
it's the same song.
Same song. Shake Senora and Jump in the Line are the same.
Yeah.
Rock your body on time. Hey, now I believe you.
Yep. It's the same era. I thought it was 60s, but this song is 50s. Wow.
Yeah, but you said it was written in 50 and released in...
Recorded in 55, released in 56.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm just trying to figure out, because usually they give chart positions on these, but they must not have even been.
No, the only thing on the radio at that point was Elvis.
Some of the older stuff, it was never charted. I don't know why. Like, you can't find...
Well, it was a hit. It was a big song.
It still is sometimes.
It was a huge song, but I don't think they were even doing like charts then. I mean, if they were, they're not showing them, which is odd.
Yeah,
they usually show highest chart position, but yeah,
interesting. Yeah,
I played it too, and the snippet is in the video I put out, but there's no music, so you don't know that I'm playing it. But yeah, I had a dance floor for us. Like, really? Okay. I put it on. I'm like, oh, I just made a mistake. This was a bad move. And then they started coming out. I'm like, oh, wow, that's
exactly. That's why I told my yesterday. My son was there, and I said, "This is either going to crush or I'm going to empty the building."
Right.
It's either good. So we hit or miss here. Just
same thing with "Don't Bring Me Down." I was like, "Uh-oh," and people start getting into, like, the people that were on the floor already. They were staying to it, and then more came out. And I'm like, boy, did I get lucky there, you know? But,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
We call that's like an energy rocker. You know, reminds me of like Tom Petty's "Running Down a Dream." It's just got that driving force that just keeps coming at you. It's not too aggressive rock that it's going to make anybody upset, but it's just got that like that ELO tempo, like just like constant, consistent drum beat. And you hear it at football stadiums and everything else, so people know it.
There were a few weirdo ones there that ELO did in the 80s. "Rock and Roll is King" is one I can think of.
"Hold On Tight."
And "Hold On Tight." Yeah. So
yeah, that was going to be my pick. But
yeah, those are weirdo ELO songs that
They'll work. Yeah.
I would the weird part about when I played My Sharona, though, you know, thinking back at it, I know there were people there who didn't know the song, but they danced anyway because they just liked it. And then there were also people there who remembered it the first time around but hadn't heard it in a long time. It's always interesting to me, you know, I try to put myself in the place of the individuals who are at the event I'm DJing. What are they thinking when they hear this? You know, what's their perspective on this? Hey, this is interesting. I've never heard it. Or is it, wow, I haven't heard this in a long time. And I think I got both from My Sharona.
I'm sure you did. Yeah. Well, Howard, you were going to say "Hold On Tight," right? Is that what you said?
Oh, yeah. That was. I mean, you said one, and then everybody started picking five things. And I'm like, shit, they're gonna hit mine for sure. But I have a backup, and it actually goes. It can't. The date, the year can't be right. It says 89, but it's "Give Me Some Lovin' from the Spencer Davis Group."
No, that's
not 89. Yeah, that's definitely
60s.
That's definitely not 89. It may have come in on a compilation disc or something.
That could be.
But it's really a high energy song. 149 BPM, you know. And it's a safe song to play, you know.
That had a resurgence, kind of, sort of, with Blues Brothers. I remember that.
Yes.
Because it kind of went along with the same kind of things they were doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The Soul Man, Sam and Dave version.
They recorded it. Yeah. Other artists have also recorded a version of the song. Group leader Steve Winwood later recorded it live with Traffic and a rendition by the Blues Brothers, reaching number 18 on the U.S. mainstream singles chart.
Wow.
So that's the version that I would play, but it was right there with the 50s and 60s frat rock stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And it says 66 on that song.
Huh.
1966.
That sounds right. Yeah.
That actually sounds late, but that's what Wikipedia is telling me. I'm a man at 67. Okay, I guess. That just seems early, but I guess it was. Pretty neat stuff.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it does hit pretty good, because it's not broken out very often, but it really drives, people kind of dig that Motown stuff every once in a while,
Yeah. It's,
Not every once in a while. They love it.
Yeah, it's easy to follow, even if you never heard it. It's not going to be a confusing
right
for someone that they can bop to it because it's keeps the tempo and it's easy to just like My Sharona. That beat stays through the whole thing. Even if you never heard it, you can at least dance to it because it's not going to change up a bunch of times and leave you out there
I never
going around like you don't know what you're doing.
Never really consider that Motown though. Is it really Motown?
No, that was more frat rock stuff.
It's a Detroit sound kind of, right?
Well, I guess you could put it in Motown too, though, right? Yeah, I mean, it would fit in. No,
I'm thinking. I don't know. When I think of that song, I'm thinking of like Tommy James, "Devil with the Blue Dress On." That kind of frat rock thing is what I'm associating it with. I'm trying to associate with the Motown song, and the only thing I can come up with is like Rare Earth. Because they were the Motown label.
Okay, get ready. That was definitely Motown sound.
But it was kind of frat rocky. So I guess I can see the crossover. How he's talking about on that. It's interesting that's
what I was getting.
Yeah,
I just learned something again. Yeah,
I think you really nailed it, Brian, though, when you said, it was in the Blues Brothers, so it had a second life. And maybe that's why people know it. They may know it from the movie and they might not have been born yet.
I got a question with the Blues Brothers, right? Were they 89-ish, 80s? Is that why maybe Cowie had that year when he brought it up?
80, 81.
Okay. Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Okay.
Like when a lot of people do Shout, they'll do Isley Brothers. I never do Isley Brothers. I do Otis Day and the Nights. Because again, it's John Belushi movie, Animal House in there.
Yeah.
And it's got good energy. So
yeah, it does.
A lot of that stuff kind of came back around with those movie soundtracks, the remakes of them or whatever. And it's interesting you mentioned Motown. Something else I was thinking about, and I thought maybe Once Around the Room might be kind of fun on this. I remember there are certain songs that you hear and they don't sound like they're from the time that you're hearing them. They sound like they're from like another era.
This is going to be a hard one. Yeah,
it's not that difficult. I was watching I watched those song reaction videos, and one song that I remember, I loved it when I first heard it. And when I first heard it, I was young, but I still recognized it as a 60s throwback song. Was sometime 76, 77, when Maxine Nightingale came out with Right Back Where We Started From. That song to me sounded like it was Motown, like how he's talking about. It had that beat to it, but strings, and it had a new life to it because it wasn't recorded like it was in, the bottom of a well somewhere. It sounded like a nice recording of a Motown song, which didn't exist back in the 60s. It was terrible recordings they had of those tracks.
Yeah, they were in a house.
In the bathroom is where they did the vocals. The upstairs bathroom. I was just thinking about songs like that are throwback songs. Can you think of any that, all of a sudden out of left field, something sounds like it's from the 50s, or something sounds like it's, from the 80s, or something sounds like, Well, can you think of anything like that?
I got a current artist that's cashing in on, and she's from out here up my way. She lives down in the Cape. Her name's Megan Trainor.
Sure.
And she's done 3 or 4 different songs now that all have that direct doo-wop throwback. She has Lips Are Moving, Made You Look, and everything just kind of sounds like it fell right out of a Diana Ross reel. It's like,
I mean, she did All About That Bass, and that kind of had that same, God, I don't even know what you call it. It's like it's not Motown, but it's maybe
that's like the all girl groups. It's like the,
you're right.
Shirelles and all those Shangri-Las, all those bands that had that girl.
That's her vibe.
Doo-wop, man.
Doo-wop.
Yeah. Motown, you're right.
And she's only been at it, she's 6-7 years now in the business. She's relatively young, but she knows that there isn't anything on the radio that sounds like that. That's a very unique take to bring to 2023.
Yeah.
But she seems to get it down, and everything that she charts with has that groove.
Yeah. All about that bass at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruno Mars is another one of those.
Yep,
I think
he did it.
Goes that route a lot. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got that funk throwback though. Like he's going back to like Parliament and George Clinton and.
Well, yeah, with that new band Silk, that's
Silk Sonic.
Yeah, Silk Sonic sounds just like Motown, man, and it's good stuff. I like it.
Uptown Funk to me always sounded like a song from the time. So I associate with like early 80s funk. Like that's how I always thought of that track.
I want to go the route John did. It's something that was released in 23 this year. Steven Sanchez, and the song is Until I Found You. And it's got such a 60s feel to it. And I think he purposely did it.
That's the slow song.
It's wonderful. Right. It is a slow one, but
yeah.
It was when you hear it, you're like, oh my God, it brings you back to the 60s.
Oh, even 50s. It's very old timey sounding.
50s too. Yeah. But that's
a great song. If you guys aren't familiar with it, we'll check that out after the show.
Yeah, check it out. I don't know that one.
Until I Found You was the name of it. But I think he'll like it.
He'll have more hits if he stays in that pocket. Like Ed Sheeran's doing the same thing too. Like I Found a Love so perfectly. What's that? Perfect or. He's got that, that 50s crooner kind of slow dancey thing, and that's definitely a throwback to the 50s, 60s sound of the sock hops.
Yeah, right on.
But he's in there too.
Howie, I don't want to step on you.
Oh, is it my
mouth?
Is it my turn?
Well, you can say something. I just didn't want to say anything, and then you go, "Oh, that was mine," and then I'm like,
"We don't want to steal your thunder."
Well, go ahead, and I'll let you go before I go because I don't want to catch any thunder.
Jeez. Okay. I'm going to go with one from, I believe it's 68. I Got a Line on You by Spirit.
That was mine.
You're a liar.
I am a liar. God.
What was that a throwback to?
My Turn in the Barrel. What was it a throwback to? We're
talking about throwbacks, like songs that are new, but they sound like they're from another time. Like, for instance, like the Grease soundtrack sounds like it's from the 50s, but it's actually from the 70s.
Written to sound like it's from the...
the throwback stuff.
How about ELO, Do Ya? Would that be a throwback or an oldie?
No. That's its own thing. It was contemporary at the time. I'll just go. Something I was thinking about was Happy Pharrell. Sounds like a Curtis Mayfield song from the 70s, right? We all can identify that pretty easily. The one I'm surprised that John didn't mention, I don't know why I thought John would mention it, or even Howie for that matter, Stray Cats.
Oh, yeah.
They were doing that rockabilly stuff in the 80s,
Right.
And sounded like the 50s, but we haven't heard much from them lately. So they're still doing shows and everything, but I don't think the Stray Cats are still around.
Well, he's doing swing, and there's more throwback.
Yeah, but he just started the Steven Setzer Orchestra. I don't think Stray Cats were around only 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I didn't hear much from them after like 85. I think they were gone.
Right.
But he's a talented cat, and he knew he's got that whole James Dean slick back hair, riding his motorcycle and just singing that street corner stuff that you would hear on the curbside in Jersey in front of the Brownstones. Those harmony groups and stuff. So rockabilly from him, or like the Jump Jive and Wail and all the stuff that came out from him.
Oh yeah,
like going back to
sounding like way back
stuff.
I got one. Let's just see if you disagree with me. John Lennon, just like starting over. That was in the 80s.
Yeah, that was a little 50s and 60s sounding. Yeah.
It had a good feel to it for that era, I think. Yeah.
It had a different kind of groove. Part of it did. The main groove did. Yeah. I agree with you. I was just thinking how those songs have value. I mean, because it can span 2 different generations. and that's pretty cool, especially if they're newer songs. There are songs that, a young person might know by Bruno Mars or Pharrell or whatever, but then an older person may not know it, but it's got the groove they dig, so they come out to it. So those are special songs. I think we should pay attention to those songs because you can literally hit two completely separate generations with one track.
Well, it's just like if you play, God, what is it? I just threw a mind blank, but the one that did the same groove as Marvin Gaye in the 70s, Got to Give It Up, and
Robin Thicke.
Robin Thicke.
Right. The old people will come out and do that groove.
They'll know the beat, and that's a good transition song. If you want to come out of old stuff to new or go from new stuff to old, you can use that as a doorway to change
both groups onto one floor, Kind of similar what you're talking about, but
I'd even argue that Daft Punk's Homework was almost a throwback to the early 80s with like Roger Troutman and Zapp with the vocoder, with Around the World and things like that. That was almost a throwback. Not the groove, it was completely new, but the voice box they were using, the tube, the whatever you call that thing. Peter Frampton, famously, but most people are associating that for some reason with Zapp and Roger Troutman and not Peter Frampton. So I know Joe Walsh used it in Rocky Mountain Way too. A lot of people used it.
Yeah.
But as far as for
a little bit of that at the beginning of Sweet Emotion by Aerosmith too, with Joe Perry.
Yep. I don't know what year that was.
Queen's crazy little thing called Love in this category too?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was his Elvis song.
Yeah.
I think he was quoted as he did that inspired by Elvis. I think that was his nod to the king.
Someone told me that, and it might have been you.
I might have been. Well, that was it. That was the game. That was 1980. So Elvis had already been gone for 3 years. But
got my mind going now. I'm trying to think.
Oh no, we woke up the sleeping beast. Oh, here we go.
I don't know. Just there are a lot of them things out there that you.
I think those are neat to kind of be aware of them. That they're throwback. They're also really cool songs to bridge sets. So if you're in a 50s set and you want to go into an 80s set, you could do Crazy Little Thing Called Love, for instance, and you're there. You're in both places at once. It's kind of cool,
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
sure. Like if you're playing music in the 90s and you want to jump back to Lava Lamps in the 70s, all of a sudden you throw Groovers in the Heart on and you got that whole Austin Powers vibe kicking in the room suddenly, and now you're in current music that sounds like 20 years its predecessor.
I played that song twice on Saturday.
Really?
It was requested. Well, I played it once, because I felt like playing it. 3 hours later, somebody had to have it again, and gave me $5 and said, "Play it." I was all right, fine.
Yeah,
different crowd anyway. But yeah, I played it twice.
There you go.
I don't think I've played that song for an open dancing song since it was probably new.
Wow,
that's what I'm saying. It's just odd that John brought it up and he played it twice the other night.
Twice in a night. That's funny. That's funny you mentioned a $5 song, because I had somebody hand me a $5 Friday night to play something that was awful. I forget what it was. Well, I'm paid for. You're next. I don't care what happens.
I got highest.
I think he wanted Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On, and it was kind of towards the end of the night, and I was like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah. You put that at last call.
That's when the lights came up. That was
You couldn't pay me enough to play that one. I'm sorry. No. Especially at the end.
Isn't there oh, you know what? I know there is. Promo only had a dance version of that song. I know they did.
And you know what? I've heard that, and it's not bad. It's up in the 125, 128 range too.
Yeah,
probably got to speed it up a little to get it on a kind of a steady beat you can follow. But yeah, it's
not that I want to mix it with anything, but I mean, if you're going to torture yourself, you might as well.
You guys are doing this stuff for $5. I have it's $10 enough.
Oh yeah, you got higher price.
$10 is $10.
You write what song do you want on a $10 bill? I'll play it next. That's what I tell them.
Everyone has their price. We can be bought. Don't let that get out.
Yeah, Groove is in the Heart's another good one. I mean, that's a lot of different crazy things going on at once, and they've got people playing on that record. it's a throwback to like James Brown.
Yeah.
Is and they've got Bootsy Collins on there.
Mm-hmm. It was big during that time period. Remember, like Lenny Kravitz was doing the same thing too. He had kind of that.
Oh God, he was doing 70s hardcore. Yeah,
and that was the late 90s, 2000s when like all that stuff was coming out. Trippy, I kind of knew that was when he released American Woman. I'm like, all right, he's definitely going. This is going to be a lot of 70s sound and stuff.
Well, the American Woman was a late track that he did. That was probably 10 years after he released it. The hell was the name of that? Let Love Rule, which was very. That was almost a 60s vibe, and then
that was psychedelic. Yeah,
Mama Said over till it's over. Yeah,
that was on Mama Said. That was a 70s vibe all day.
Yeah,
that was early. That was
like a Sly and the Family Stone kind of funk bump thing going on.
Almost, yeah. It was inspired by Carpenters. It was inspired by a lot of things when you listen to it. Just the vibe of the whole thing. But there were some rockers on there that was definitely Sly and the Family Stone, like Always on the Run. That sounds like a Sly song, but It Ain't Over Till It's Over almost sounds like something that the Fifth Dimension did or something. It's just,
I can hear like Barry White's Unlimited.
Right, Love Unlimited. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what's going on here with this guy?
So he was a throwback.
Every time I hear Groovers in the Heart, I immediately think of Head to Toe by Lisa Lisa. I don't know why. I think probably back in the day I mixed them two together frequently, but there's really no similarity to
I don't know the guy's name, and I was going to mention it. I was going to mention it before we started talking about Lenny Kravitz. Yeah, Bootsy Collins is playing on Grooves in the Heart, but James Brown's sax player is playing sax on that too. And I don't remember his name, but he was the sax player in the second band that James Brown had out. After he got rid of his first guys, he brought in the other
JBs when he got the new crew.
Yeah, I forget what they were called, but yeah, it was Bootsy. He was one of the guys. So yeah, I mean they have legit artists on there. Plus, and then they're scratching, and then they got that cat in there from A Tribe Called Quest doing the rap. Mm-hmm. And that was just all kinds of stuff happening at once. A lot of things. Of course, visually, if you're watching the video, it's probably really good if you're on drugs.
Yeah. Okay. I think Q-Tip added something to it because that hip hop sound of like
Q-Tip, that's who it was. Or that
was the sound. Like they were popping pretty big too on the urban scene. So to get him just kind of cred,
he was contemporary. He wasn't a throwback at all. And then Tora and Dimitri were, of course, DJs and scratching on it and things. But yeah, interesting song. I'm a big fan of that whole album, actually. If you guys don't know the album, please listen to it. It's a really good. World Collect Delight is incredible. Incredible album. One of my favorites of all things. There's a lot of really, really good tracks on there. And they're, sample heavy. Very sample heavy. But good stuff. Samples you've never heard anybody else use in unique ways. So it's a pretty good album. And I think I've done that one on Record Roundup before. I know I have.
I think you might have,
yeah. I know I have. It's good stuff. What else was I going to? Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention before we go. One more topic. I got some blowback from some other DJ. I don't even know who he is. Some DJ who has no videos on his channel. One of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he noticed in my muted video montage that there were people doing the cha-cha slide on the dance floor at the club, and that upset him. He didn't like that.
Come on.
But they were line dancing at the club.
Come on.
Yeah. No. Look, I understand that, we don't want to go out there and play Celebration by Kool and the Gang every week.
Right.
Or Love Shack. Or whatever the case might be. But I also wonder, where do we draw the line where it's like, okay, everyone's going to love it and dance to it, and it's played out? Where's the line there?
I'll tell you where the line is when you're not having good luck on the dance floor and you throw that on and it packs the floor. And now, right, see, Matt's agreeing with me. Now, okay, I'm doing my job, the people are dancing, and that satisfies you, and that probably gets you into the groove to do something else, And
cha-cha stunk up the room every time. Yep. Sorry, Eric.
But invariably you're going to get requests for those, and that's like the only time I would play it. I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't be like, hey, I'm going to put on the cha-cha. No, I got to have
somebody has to ask. Yeah.
But I mean, you had a full dance floor, Brian, for that. Well, it was muted, but it was obvious they were doing something like that.
They're all moving in unison.
But the whole place was. It's almost like like New Year's or something, where people. They go out to drink once. Oh, it's Halloween. Let's go out and get loaded.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I was just kind of speaking in general terms that was the example, but where do we draw the line on this? Where do we say, oh, no, that's played out or whatever? And I mean, as, dare I say, an artist, I kind of get it, because what I don't want to do is sound like the DJ down the street.
Right.
I don't want to be playing the same set he's playing with the same songs. Right. I want to sound different. I want to turn people on to things. But that doesn't mean that I'm too cool to play exactly what they want to hear, too.
Right.
Right.
I think the whole point of it, too, is just it's some songs will always work. Cha-Cha Slide is one. I don't care who it is. I mean, obviously, we as DJs don't want to sound like the next guy.
Right.
But if that's what's going to work at that point, and especially if somebody asks for it, then I say just do it,
I mean, to Howie's point.
Right.
Yeah.
These weren't people who go out every week. So they're not hearing it every week.
Yeah.
So we hear it every week.
We hear it every week.
Because we play it. Right. Well, not every week, hopefully, but there's a certain pack of bangers that we all know are like the 25 best bangers ever. If we all collectively played a 25 song set, I bet 15 of them would overlap, because we'd all pick the same. If you have it just tried and true, that's going to get somebody on your dance floor if they're not responding to anything. Sometimes you got to jumpstart the party with the paddles,
I think it's easy to get outraged. I think it's more difficult to articulate why you're mad. And I think DJs are very guilty of this thing that I'm talking about. They know they don't like it, but they're not sure why. And I think, like I was kind of alluding to earlier, it has to do with maybe we don't all want to sound exactly the same. That's valid, because if we sound exactly the same, then what's the difference?
Well, certainly for John this past weekend, there were 3 different DJs playing, so you had to pick a pocket. Right?
Now, wouldn't that be weird? No matter what floor you went on, they were playing Love Shack.
The exact same song at the same time.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, like I can't escape the song. It's following me.
On the walkie-talkies. All right, everybody play this song at the same time. Yeah.
Or maybe they're on the first floor. Like, we've heard Love Shack here, but I love that song. I got to go to one of the other floors. Maybe they haven't played it yet.
Yeah, I'll go request it in a different room. Yeah.
Right. You're right.
I'm sure they play that game all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other DJ to play it. Yeah. But,
well, when you have, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, but when you have a venue, we've got 3 different DJs, they're agreeably on a different tip. So you've got somebody who's doing throwback party classics. You got somebody who's doing new stuff. You've got somebody who's doing rock or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what was happening?
Well, that was it. I had the fun basement, and I was everywhere from Shakira to Black Eyed Peas and, danceable stuff. It was limited space. My area probably would have held 150. Upstairs, the restaurant holds about 200. He was doing more of an R&B vibe. So you would get Nelly and R&B side, 50 Cent and that. And in the main room, we had Joe Bermudez was our headliner. So he was there in person. He was playing some of his own original music. And that was kind of more like an EDM and remixes.
Right.
Like, the songs, but it's on a beat that you're not familiar with, but you still know the song type of party. So that's how we split it up for the 3. So it was just a different atmosphere each, and you could just walk freely, from one to the other. So it was nice. It was a nice time. It was Hawthorne Hotel Salem.
I was talking about in the video how, and this is true, there were a couple years in the 90s where I had, like, the first hour at least I had this perfect set. There was nothing wrong with it. The timing was perfect. The song selection was perfect. It worked every time, like, really well. It never failed. So I would just do the same hour at every gig because it was like the perfect hour. You know, I'd honed it. And you know, every week I'd tweak it a little bit until it was perfect. And then when it was, I just stuck with it. I could rattle it off the top of my head what it was. And it worked flawlessly. And then after that, I would do whatever. But you feel like you get into this rut. And then, you know, you eventually force yourself to try new things. Well, we're going to try another set of songs, or we're going to try to change the order at least, or something about them. Ultimately, you know, it's a fine line, I think, sometimes. We want to give them what they want, but we don't want to sound like the last DJ they heard, or the DJ that's next door, or whatever.
You don't want to be predictable, basically, is what.
Right? Yeah. I hate I don't want to be predictable.
Right.
That goes from your sets to your mixing style too, and I talked about that a little bit in the video too. I've gone to events before where DJs have done 4 to 8 bar mixes every single transition. It's the same 4 to 8 bar. It's so predictable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever want anybody to know what I'm up to. I want everything to be a surprise. I want it to be Christmas. You may not like what you're getting, but you don't know what you're getting.
Right.
You're not going to guess it. Whether or not you like it, that's different, but you're not going to guess it.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do. But
we can sit in the bar and we can hear that. We can hear that song coming in on the cue, and we immediately know where he's going. Like, oh, it's going to drop right here. Here it comes. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Again,
right on cue.
Jay's not here, so and I hate to pick on him when he's not here, but screw him, he's not here. Jay talks about how I found this really good transition. I'm mixing from this to this. And he'll talk about it like for a couple of weeks in a row. It's like, okay, so you're doing that same transition every week? Well, yeah, he's playing in front of a different audience every week. But can you imagine if he was playing at a venue where he was getting repeat customers and playing that same transition every week?
You'd have to change it up.
You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's also concerning to me that, you know, if you're playing in the same venue every week, even if it's a different crowd, if it's the same venue, let's say it's a wedding, you play the same wedding venue every week. The staff's hearing the same mix every week.
That's true.
No, okay. Here comes Moni. You know,
I swear this is recorded. This must be a recorded set. It's always in the same order. Yeah, how to do that?
In the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, who cares of the staff? On one hand, but on the other hand, I'm thinking they might be the ones who are recommending me to people. And if they're getting sick and tired of what they're hearing, you know, he's all right, but he just does the same thing at every event. That's a criticism you may not want to have tacked on to your name. I don't know.
No, you don't want to be DJ predictable. That's the last thing you want.
Just thoughts. They're just thoughts. Well, we're on the hour, so we can put a fork in this and call it a show. We covered quite a few topips.
Quite a bit. It was a good show. Really good.
Yeah.
See what happens when Jay's in Tennessee? We can actually talk about things.
Did you catch the sponsor at the beginning? Did we?
No, we didn't do him. We didn't do him.
We should talk about.
Talk though when Jay's not here. We can all talk. Yeah, that's the difference.
What we forgot to talk about was DJ Event Planner, which you can check out, one of our sponsors, in the description of this video on YouTube, because it'll be there. Thank you, John, for reminding me.
I would have sent it to you in a chat message, but I don't know what
on the screen
controllers are.
on the screen right now, DJ Event Planner. Yeah,
there it is.
There it is.
So, well, thanks for watching, guys. I hope our show kind of made sense to you a little bit, sort of, kind of. We try every week. We try. We'll